This is Friday evening's Undercard. On our wrestling show today, two cowboys wrestle in Toronto, Coco Beware's Bird frightens Bobby Heenan, and Gene Okerlund interviews George the Animal Steele. Welcome, wrestling fan, to another episode of Friday Evening's Undercard. I'm Gentleman John. He's Lex Ryan Eric. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Long night. Got a lot of stuff going on, but hey, that's cool. All right, we'll go ahead and just jump it right on in. June 8th, 1987 episode of Primetime. Obviously, this week we do not have Bobby Heenan's legal consultant in there anymore, which I'm sure has improved the oxygen quality of the studio.
And probably the mood of Gorilla Monsoon.
Yes, I'm sure Gorilla is better than he was. He does make a fun quip at Bobby Heenan because, he's like, how long are you going to wear that neck brace? And he says, I think the neck brace is cutting off circulation to your brain. And that's really all I have for the opening segment. I mean, if you're not watching this, go watch these shows just for the opening segments or just for the Monsoon Heenan segments.
Yeah, really, this era, the matches, I hate to say really don't matter, but they really don't matter. They're filler. The entertainment is Monsoon and Heenan.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of filler, we get to our first match, which is Bob Orton against Frankie Lane. I have no idea who Frankie Lane is. However, he must be sort of a somebody because they're both called Cowboy. Oh, and he was from Canada, which is weird because this match was in Canada. It's at the Maple Leaf Gardens, May 17th of 87. He was from Calgary, and he's getting booze. So, tough crowd.
Yeah.
Especially when the other guy is as big a heel as Bob Orton.
Yeah, man. Those Toronto fans, they can be tough.
Yeah, they're rough. It should be an interesting SummerSlam this year because that's going to Toronto.
Yeah.
Monsoon and Heenan on commentary. And maybe a minute into the match, these two guys are down, and they are basically fighting on top of the announce table. And this is 87, so, this is just an old, like a picnic table. Well, not even a picnic table because that would imply it's made with like 2x4s and stuff. No, it's like a high school gym table
right.
or something that you'd bring out at like your family reunion to like serve macaroni and cheese and stuff. So it is, that table is taking some abuse. After they're done fighting on that, you get the Bob Orton suplex from the outside of the ring inside that he holds up forever. Both wrestlers are getting booed out of the building. You get a running power slam from Bob Orton, and that gets you a 1, 2, 3, and that's about all I got about it.
That's about all that can be said about it.
Yeah. After that, you go back to Gorilla and Bobby. They're talking about basically why has Harley Race not been here in a while. I didn't actually go through the any match listing here. I guess I could do that real quick to see if he actually did have a break in here. Apparently not. It says he worked 216 matches in 1987.
Pretty solid year.
Yeah. That's pretty good. You got to think when you're at his position, he was probably getting $1,000 a match in 1987. So let's see. We're in May. Oh boy, should have done this earlier. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So this was the Boston Garden show where he busted open Hogan. Then he's back on May 8th. And then there he is on May 9th, May 12th. Where are we here? Oh, it looks like he did double duty on May 12th, May 14th, May 15th. No, so, it looks like he's working the normal slate of matches. So I guess maybe it's just that he wasn't on TV.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. We get just a wonderful vignette video about Killer Khan.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, it has Mr. Fuji, so that counts.
Yeah, and I don't know what I can say. I mean, he was meditating, and there was fires around him and strange stuff.
And he's in Mongolia, so
yeah, he is in Mongolia, which looks strikingly like Japan, by the way.
Well, in WWE world,
it's all the same.
There are really no countries in Asia.
Yeah, it's just one big block, except for Saudi Arabia. That's a separate country.
Yeah, and don't forget about Iran with Shiki Baby.
Shiki Baby. That show in Saudi Arabia is probably only like 12 hours away as we record this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I never watch any of those shows.
I'm not watching it.
I'll read the results, but I don't know. I don't know about most listeners, but I really don't have the desire to spend my free time listening to an infomercial for Saudi Arabia.
No. I mean, I guess if somehow one of those matches ends up being like some 5-star classic or something, I'll watch it, but
well, brother, Goldberg and Undertaker, 5-star classic coming up.
I'm sorry, I just fell asleep when you mentioned Goldberg and Undertaker.
Well,
I can't imagine trying to sit through that match.
Well, I mean, maybe one of them can borrow Billy Graham's walker.
Yeah, good grief, they're gonna need it. The funny thing is when they taped those vignettes for Billy Graham, he was like 8 years younger than these two.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Like, this is a match. Like, if you would have just said 20 years ago, Taker versus Goldberg, sell out any arena in the world.
Oh my gosh, yes. In 1998 or 9, I mean,
yeah.
Good grief.
Well, it doesn't matter what arena, man. You're selling it out.
Yeah, they could have sold more tickets to that than they sold to Woodstock.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like a dream match just 20 years too late.
Yeah, yeah, 20 years too late. Jeez,
yeah. But yeah, I guess we can move on.
Yeah,
so.
And wait a minute, I've missed something. Oh, we get another Billy Graham segment.
Yeah.
Which I swear to you is the same one from last week.
I'm pretty sure it is.
If it's not, I mean, it's 90% the same.
Unless it's another hill.
Well, it's definitely not another hill. That part is exactly the same. It's words and all.
Yeah.
But, hey, we get more medicine with gorillas. Maybe not anatomy this time. It's maybe just medicine with gorilla. He says psychosomatic medicine. He says that's what Billy Graham's using, and maybe that's what Bobby Heenan needs to use.
Is that even a thing?
I have no idea. I really don't. I guess I'm standing at a computer, so I could take a second to look it up.
But, do we really want to ruin the magic that's Gorilla Monsoon medicine? Come on, don't let facts get in the way of monsoon medicine.
Yeah, it does seem to be a real thing, but I'm not going to look it up enough to see if Monsoon actually used it right. We just don't have that kind of time here. After the Billy Graham segment, we get a plug for a free WWF calendar. And I swear to you, I'm tempted to write that address down and send them a postcard just to see what'll happen.
Well, it's a 1987 calendar.
Look, if they still have one of those calendars and they send me an 87 calendar for free, that would be even better.
You know what? I would use that as my actual calendar.
Because I certainly don't want one from nowadays with what Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have one with Hulk Hogan and Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah, but I love the fact they're giving this thing away. There's already 6 months gone in the year.
Yeah, we're already halfway through the year. Well, that's probably why they're giving them away. They didn't sell as many of them as they thought they were going to.
Clearly this is like making room for other merch. Yeah, we should actually write it down and see what we get.
Speaking of merchandise, apparently Ryback, because obviously he's the arbiter of all things truth, said today, he was talking about like the contract stuff that they do with the guys. Apparently he said they only get about $1-ish for every one of those T-shirts that get sold.
Interesting.
And my whole thing with that is I think about it, I'm like, I mean, on the surface, yeah, it sounds ridiculous because they're charging $30 for a T-shirt, right? But you're getting $1 off of that. You're not having to do any of the graphic design. You're not having to do any of the merchandising. You're not taking on any of the inventory costs. I mean, it's nothing, right? You're just getting the check.
Yeah, I mean, you sell 10,000 T-shirts, you're getting $10,000.
Yeah, I mean,
for doing nothing.
Yeah, and I mean you got to think somebody that was in Ryback's spot was selling that many.
Yeah.
And I mean, plus everything else. I mean, what? I mean, how much does he want? I mean, that's, Well, I mean, I guess you would. I mean, how many do you think he was selling per month? I mean, do we think he was selling? I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess it. I mean, it doesn't matter, but whatever. I mean, it's solid money, right?
Well, I mean, maybe when we write to get our calendars, we can write together, see if there's any surplus Ryback T-shirts.
There probably is, I would think.
There's one to impress the fans at your next local wrestling event.
Yeah, a Ryback T-shirt. Oh, in other news, I am going to that House of Hardcore show on Saturday.
Oh, excellent.
I almost didn't go though. Because Joey Ryan is wrestling there, and that is enough to make me not want to go. Just right there.
That's understandable.
But there's one thing that, well, there's two things that are possibilities that are enough to make me go. One of them is that the Great Muta is advertised in the main event, and he's getting up into his 50s, and so I'm not sure how many more trips to America he's going to be making. So you got to go with that one. And then it's Tommy Dreamer's promotion, and it's in the ECW arena. I got to think Sandman's going to be there.
Well, if he's out of prison.
Did he go to prison?
I don't know. It seems like he bounces in and out of there sometimes.
Because he was just on an Impact show like not too long ago. Somebody who I'm like virtually certain is in prison is Sonny.
Ah, Sonny.
Talk about a train wreck.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. This is a family show.
Yeah, you feel bad for her though, really.
Yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Oh, me. Yeah, anyway, we get another Powers and Roma versus the Shadows match. This one from the Philadelphia Spectrum, May 9th of 87. 8,000 screaming fans in attendance for this one, and you had Dick Graham and Alfred Hayes on the commentary. Yeah, I don't know. What do you have?
Nothing really much about it.
My note reads, Powers and Roma win a long match, blah.
Yeah, I think that sums it up.
I will say, though, however long into this match was when I actually, because of the Billy Graham promo that was on, I actually paused the show to make sure I was on the right episode.
Yeah.
To actually make sure I was not watching the one from the first again. I actually stopped it and was like looking at it to make sure I had the right episode pulled up, which should say something about the overall quality of this particular episode.
Yeah, by all accounts, is a pretty terrible episode. Just spoiler alert.
Yes, this is not the best episode of Primetime they've ever done. Next, you go back with Gorilla and Bobby, and Coco Ware comes in, and Frankie the Bird is screaming at Bobby Heenan.
Well, Frankie, fun fact, was a big Bobby Heenan fan.
Yes, he was. And Bobby Heenan picks up that phone, and I will promise you, he hit at least 15 numbers. So I don't know who he called, but he probably hit 15 numbers on that dial pad. I was actually wishing I could slow it down to half speed so I could actually see how many times he went, because I tried to go back and count it, and he was punching numbers so fast I couldn't even count. And I think that's about all can be said for that segment.
Yeah, I think so.
And next we go to Lanny Poffo, who reads a poem about the telethon for the kids, going against Dave Barbie. And I'm sure the 16,800 screaming fans in Madison Square Garden on May the 18th just were enthralled by this match.
Well, it's, I mean, maybe candidate for match of the year in 1987.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was right up there with Steamboat. Monsoon, Heenan, and Alfred Hayes. And for some reason, I keep wanting to say Michael Hayes on the commentary.
That would have been fun.
Especially during this time period.
Oh, yeah. This is like peak Freebird era, man. This commentary segment is brought to you by Jack Daniels.
Yes. Seagram's. I'm out of this one. We have an anatomy lesson from Monsoon, though, where he's talking about Heenan's neck. He asks if he has a fractured transverse process. And I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that could even possibly be. Is that something in your various doctor's visits has ever come up?
I mean, I got a plate in my neck, and they never mentioned that.
They never mentioned a fractured transverse process to you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be a lot cooler if they did, but...
Gorilla Monsoon teaches anatomy, kids. Somehow they get to talking... Oh, they got to talking about Ken Patera, and Bobby Heenan says he's got a bad case of ex-con-itis. And then Lanny Poffo beats the jobber with a moonsault, and that's about all there is to it.
Yep. So I guess we will keep moving on on this classic show.
To the Gene Okerlund interview segment with Danny Davis, Jimmy Hart, and Honky Tonk Man. I don't know. Danny Davis said he was the best referee in the history of the WWF. I don't remember what Jimmy Hart said, and Honky Tonk was going on and on about lost ballots for this ban the DDT campaign.
Lost ballots? Are they in the North Carolina territory?
Yeah, probably.
Campaign advice from Honky Tonk Man.
You know, I actually had to look it up. I was wondering if they were just like bringing it over for fun, if this was actually like during the era when they were trying to ban the chemical DDT.
Right.
But that seems to have been banned quite some time before this. And anyway, that's about all we've got for that one.
Well, we've got another barn burner coming up here.
A barn burner. Canada's greatest athlete, Iron Mike Sharp, going against young Sam Houston, wrestling in the Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston, Texas.
I mean, I think it's always great when, you know, you get a chance to wrestle in the city that's named after you and the arena named after you.
And he's a heck of a wrestler for being 175 years old.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, think about it. It's hard to train when, you know, you're helping Texas win its independence.
With David Crockett.
Yeah, you know, not that David Crockett. You know, I mean, and then all of a sudden, you know, you got to fight the luchadors at San Jacinto. You know, that was a tough match there. You know, what about 15 minutes?
What about 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, me. Well, that was a lot more entertaining than this match was.
Well, that's a recurring theme of this show.
They try to do a test of strength that they just hint at for it seemed like an eternity. 4 or 5 times they tried to get into it, and finally they do, and go figure, Mike Sharp, because he's 2 times as big as him, just overpowers him right down to the dirt. Yeah, and Sam Houston wins with that screwy bulldog finish thing that he does, and that's all for that one.
Well, the hits keep coming.
The hits keep coming. Did you catch what Bobby Heenan said in this next little segment between him and Gorilla?
I did.
With Tammy Faye and Jim Baker. Oh, I died when he said that. It's like, I'm consulting Tammy and Jim. I was like, oh gosh, Tammy Faye and Jim.
I mean, talk about a late 80s reference that, you know, yeah, that's the one thing I enjoy too about watching these episodes are the random 1980s cultural references that I've forgotten about, that all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, those people.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
Well, and to be honest, I would rather watch a match between Jim Baker and Tammy Faye Baker than, you know, the next match we have coming up.
That's true. You know, I bet this was like actually a pretty timely thing, because I think by this time they were right in the middle of all those investigations that were going on with the Bakers.
Yeah, I mean, I actually remember because I was living in Rockingham, North Carolina, at this time, and like that's kind of right down the road from Charlotte. So we're in like the Charlotte media era, and I remember like watching the news with my parents and the stuff with you know, the whole thing going up of embezzlement and all that good stuff. I remember that, and like his tearful, like, you know, every televangelist at this point had to do like a tearful apology.
Yeah.
Which also, you know, I mean, think about this. We're not too far removed from when we get to see Brother Love, which is basically mocking that entire genre.
Oh, absolutely. With the Book of Love.
So, I mean, you know, it's like a character I think a lot of fans will recognize really had its origins in this era, you know, what's going on in the late 80s.
God, be careful, kids. I almost got busted open while I'm trying to record here. Got all wrapped up in my cords. Must be that talking bad about Jim Baker. Anyway, let's move on from that.
Yeah, maybe God is on his side.
Good grief. Oh, next one, you get Outback Jack against Frenchie Martin. Monsoon and Heenan on the commentary. It's from Maple Leaf Garden, May 17th of 87. Outback Jack wins with a back clothesline.
Once again, continuing the trend of showing us matches we've already seen before.
Yes. We have literally already seen this one. Because I actually went and looked it up. Because, I mean, you know, I go and look to try to see what the attendance figures and stuff are. And yes, we have literally seen this match before. On the May 25th episode of Primetime. So, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. I think we can continue moving on.
Yes. Yeah, there was not much to that. And now, oh boy. One of the all-time classic promos of professional wrestling, I think we can agree. Gene Okerlund interviews George the Animal Steel.
Folks, if you're looking to become a professional wrestler, learn this promo. You'll go places.
Yeah, do it word for word. What's his name? Oh, gosh.
I mean, like, honestly, like, I think if I was, like, in developmental, and I've heard, like, you know, they can get tapes of things they want to see in the library, I would just request, like, a bunch of George Steele promos just to make my instructors wonder what the heck is going on.
Yeah. Like, why is this guy wanting to see George Steele? Although he'd probably fit right in today with some of the ridiculous, you know, stuff that's out there now.
Yeah, it's very true.
You know, I think for the Double or Nothing show, my tagline for it was that it had the best match I've seen in at least 10 years. And it had certainly one of the worst matches I've ever seen on a major promotion pay-per-view.
You know, if that doesn't sound like WCW, I don't know what does.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually really true. Because that Cody and Dustin match was unbelievable. And that, I would honestly like to know how many people watched that Battle Royal and just turned it off.
Yeah.
Be like, you know what? I was actually going to buy this, but no. Click. Yeah, anyway, the George Steele segment, I mean, I laughed at it, but it's just so ludicrous.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, the thing with how wrestling does not always imitate life, that man, George Steele, had a master's degree and was a teacher in the state of Michigan.
Yeah. And I think also a football coach.
Yeah, he was a coach of some sort, yeah, now that you say that. And off we go to the main event. Honky Tonk Man wearing the suspenders going against Billy Jack Haynes.
You know, this is a main event anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. Could have main evented the Tokyo Dome and just sold it out.
Yep. Why this never headlined WrestleMania, I'll never know.
May 9th of 1987. 8,000 people, which makes sense because if you look out at the crowd, you can see some gaps in the crowd. Dick Graham and Alfred Hayes. You know, I have no idea who Dick Graham is.
He's the brother of Billy Graham. I'm just making that up.
Well, which Billy Graham? The televangelist Billy Graham or the wrestler Billy Graham?
Both.
Both. And he's cousins with Eddie Graham and Mike Graham, too, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway.
And, plus, he's a white dude, so he's a graham cracker.
Good grief.
So, I mean, look, this episode of Primetime is terrible. We're doing everything we can to save this show.
Yes, there's not much going on here. It's not their finest moment. You don't really have any good dialogue between Gorilla and Bobby.
No.
And the matches are they're just not there. There's just nothing to them. Obviously, like we said, one of them is just a literal repeat of 2 episodes ago, and then one of them is it's the same 2 teams doing the same thing.
Like, honestly, I just think that they got incredibly lazy this week.
I mean, what I bet they did? I bet they did these episodes at the same time because of the holiday.
True.
I bet they packed them all up so they wouldn't have to work so hard the holiday week. And yeah, it just seemed lazy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the main event,
Yeah, I mean, the biggest pop of the match was when Billy Jack Haynes messed up Honky's hair.
Yeah.
I mean, to say what sort of a highlight this was. And then Haynes wins with a roll-up after Jimmy Hart tries to interfere.
Yeah, the more I think about this, is this maybe the worst episode of Primetime that we've watched?
It's up there. Honestly, I mean, I don't remember every episode like one for one, but it's surely got to be really close because, I mean, we certainly haven't had any other episode where week to week you basically saw the same match twice. Because, I mean, like I said, the Outback Jack match was a literal replay from 2 weeks ago, and the Roma Powers match was, I mean, it's the same match. It just happens to be in a different building.
Yeah, I mean, not really much to say about this episode at all.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's it. There's I don't have any notes of anything going on between Heenan and Monsoon other than the thing with the bird.
Yeah, I have honestly nothing redeeming to say about this show.
No, there was not much going on at all.
And I think this always, episodes like this always remind me when we look back, longingly for the good old days of wrestling. And people talk about it's crap today. Folks, this is 1987. This is a crap episode.
Yeah, I will say, in defense of old wrestling, they have bad episodes. Like, every episode is never going to be like a world beater.
Right.
But I think the thing with modern WWE is that it has been bad for a long time.
Yeah.
And now I think they're starting to get pressure on them from the networks, from USA and from Fox, because they're just doing, I mean, nothing. I mean, what? This week on Raw, it had a better rating than the week before, but that's because they hot-shotted it and brought Brock back.
Right.
Well, what happens when you can't advertise Brock Lesnar is going to cash in his Money in the Bank? So it's like they advertised it, making everybody think, or, I mean, I think in reality everybody sort of knew he wasn't going to cash it in on Raw, but you never kind of know. And so, but you can't do that next week?
No, there's some very disjointed, almost panicky decisions that seem to be being made. Hopefully, they'll get a handle on that. We'll start maybe get a better product, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
No, not for a little while. I think we're up to the 8th or 10th 24/7 champion, though.
No, yeah.
Because, that's just, I mean, everybody wants to see that.
Yeah, I think I saw R-Truth lost it on on his way to the flight to Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so we gotta keep up to date on this. Sometime within the last week, he lost it to Jinder Mahal on the golf course.
Yes,
because of any 2 people that I can just think of who I just totally knew played golf, it's R-Truth and Carmella, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then why wouldn't Jinder Mahal be out there in his trunks?
I mean, that's what I golf in.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I have played golf in some pretty weird things. We won't get into that on the recording though. And then 60 seconds later, Truth wins it back, and then he lost it. Like it was the most ridiculous thing because even at a private jet, they're not doing like the walk up jetway like back in the 50s, right? But Jinder came like running down the jetway and pinned him, and then Truth waits until he's asleep in business class and pins him, and the ref like slaps the back of the seat, and he walks away with the belt again.
I mean, the one thing I'll say, it's not the greatest idea, but it is kind of entertaining. I mean, it's so stupid, it's entertaining.
It's entertaining, but it's not anything that anybody is going to care about.
No. But you know what? To be honest, if they're looking for filler on a show that's somewhat entertaining, it beats what they've been doing for other, segments.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing is they don't need filler. They need like good main event stuff.
Well, I think there's always a place for the filler. I mean, because the challenge, they've got 3 hours to do on Raw. Like, that's, so really, I hate to say it, for 3 hours, you need some entertaining filler.
I mean, yeah, you do, but like, how many matches could you put out? Because how many people are employed allegedly on the Raw brand that don't get used question. Each week? Like, when was the last time you saw the Raw Tag Team Championships defended?
I forgot there was even Raw Tag Team Champions. Yeah,
I mean, exactly. We're too busy having the Revival shave each other's backs in the shower.
Well, that's what friends do.
Yeah, and then what was it? The Usos put like some menthol Gold Bond or something down their trunks or something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, the joys of pro wrestling.
Oh, speaking of, did you go back and watch that episode from Raleigh that we were there for?
I have not actually had a chance, but I hope to do it very soon.
All right, check it out. Next time we record, see if you can watch it. You only really have to watch like probably the first 30 minutes or so. When they do the opening shot of the commentators, look who's behind the commentators and tell me who you think it is. Like, I mean, directly like behind Cole's head, basically.
All right.
And listen to the comment that Cody Rhodes makes when he gets in the ring.
Sounds good.
And other than that, you got any final words?
No, I think we can go ahead and count to 3 on this one.
Yep, we'll do the 3 count on it. Wrestling fan out there, we appreciate you listening. Talk to you again next time.